TrueLies, released in 1994, marked a high point in director James Cameron's partnership with Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the time, Schwarzenegger was already a box-office titan, but TrueLies showed off his comedic chops in a big way. Inspired by a French film called La Totale, Cameron transformed a modest spy comedy into an epic action adventure, mixing gunfights, humor, and family drama. Even today, it's remembered for its groundbreaking stunts, enormous budget, and a refreshingly witty take on the spy genre. Ready to dive in? Here are behind-the-scenes facts that bring TrueLies to life. 1. Script grew from 30 to 140 pages. According to producer Ray Sancini, the earliest version was barely 30 pages long, a bare-bones remake of the French film La Totale. But once director James Cameron got involved, he saw the potential for something bigger. Suddenly, that slim outline ballooned to over 140 pages, stuffed with comedic moments and explosive set pieces that would push the film's budget sky high. Cameron believed you could balance intense action with family humor if the script was meticulously structured. Each new page introduced a new stunt or comedic angle, leaving the producers both excited and slightly terrified at the scope of what they were embarking on. 2. Arnold loved playing Spy Dad. Arnold Schwarzenegger, already a huge name thanks to Terminator and Predator, was intrigued by the idea of playing a secret agent living a double life. He'd done fearless commandos, cyborgs, and barbarians, but not a suburban dad who sneaks off to fight terrorists. The mix of classic espionage tropes with comedic family scenarios hooked him. He once joked that TrueLies allowed him to show off more comedic timing than any previous role, especially those that had him speaking in short, clipped lines. In this project, he could be funny, cunning, and heroic, all at once. 3. Curtis trained hard for stunts. Jamie Lee Curtis, cast as the seemingly ordinary wife Helen Tasker, was at first hesitant about the film's physical demands. She read about comedic striptease scenes and high-flying stunts and wondered if she was really up for it. But she recognized an opportunity to blend comedic skills from her earlier roles with the tough physicality she'd honed in Blue Steel or Halloween. She embraced the challenge, stepping into training for dance sequences and stunts. Soon, she realized that TrueLies would become a defining role, letting her push comedic and physical boundaries in ways she never had before. 4. Based on French film La Totale. The French original, La Totale, was discovered by James Cameron late one night in a European hotel. Flipping through channels, he stumbled on this comedic spy flick about a mild-mannered man who's secretly a government agent. Cameron found the premise irresistible, a perfect match for Schwarzenegger's brand of confident heroism, but with comedic twists. So he secured the remake rights, enlisted the help of co-writer and producer Ray Sancini, and got to work building something bigger. The result would be TrueLies, a movie that overshadowed its source material to the point that many fans never realized it was based on a French comedy at all. 5. Tom Arnold got role thanks to Arnold. The comedic sidekick, Gib, went to Tom Arnold, a then relatively unknown comedic actor. Schwarzenegger, who'd befriended Arnold off-set, vouched for him. Some studio folks were wary. Tom Arnold's tabloids' headlines overshadowed his comedic credits, but Arnold and Cameron saw potential. Once cameras rolled, it became clear that Tom Arnold's wisecracking personality was exactly what the film needed to offset Schwarzenegger's more stoic side. The pair had a natural banter that didn't always adhere strictly to the script, fueling many comedic asides that made it to the final cut. 6. Paxton's con man was added later. Bill Paxton's role as Simon the Sleazy car salesman wasn't in the original 30-page draft. Cameron added it later, aiming to highlight the comedic extremes of a con man who seduces bored housewives, unaware that his latest target's husband is a lethal spy. Paxton improvised many lines, giving Simon an oily charm that's at once pathetic and hilarious. He recalled how certain scenes felt like a stand-up routine, with him ad-libbing and the rest of the cast cracking up off-camera. That subplot quickly became a fan favorite as viewers relished seeing the cocky Simon squirm under Harry's secret scrutiny. 7. Budget passed $100 million. The film's budget soared past $100 million, a massive sum in the early 90s. Some considered it a gamble. Could a spy comedy anchored by comedic bits and family tension recoup that kind of money? Cameron quipped that each new stunt was so elaborate it ate money for breakfast. But he argued that the scope of TrueLies, combining huge action sequences, comedic set pieces, and multiple exotic locales, justified the cost. Producers nervously watched the budget climb, hoping the payoff would match Cameron's grand vision. In the end, audiences devoured the spectacle, making it one of the biggest hits of 1994. 8. Arnold tangoed with Tia Carrere. One of the film's more refined moments is the tango scene featuring Schwarzenegger and Tia Carrere as Juno Skinner. Arnold spent weeks learning the routine, admitting he felt more nervous about dancing than about any big stunt. Under bright lights, in front of a full crew, he had to glide across the floor, leading Tia Carrere in a suave tango. He later joked that for a man famous for pumping iron, mastering a graceful dance step was a new kind of challenge. The resulting scene offered a surprising flash of elegance in an otherwise bombastic film. 9. Carrere did her own fight scenes. Tia Carrere, known for comedic roles in Wayne's World, was thrilled to play a villain. She performed much of her own fight choreography, training with stunt coordinators for weeks. She even ended up accidentally bruising co-stars in her zeal. The crew nicknamed her Tiger Tia for her ferocious attitude in those fight scenes. Tia liked that her character had a sneaky sophistication, someone who can match wits with the unstoppable Arnold, at least for a while. That nuance kept her from being just another cardboard baddie. 10. Bathroom shootout used breakaway sets. The unforgettable bathroom shootout, featuring a frantic chase as Harry hunts terrorists, was filmed in a real Miami hotel restroom, albeit heavily rigged with breakaway fixtures. Each time a bullet ricocheted or a toilet shattered, it was a carefully choreographed effect. The production had to reset quickly after each take, replacing broken items. For the crew, it was equal parts thrilling and exhausting, like rebuilding a miniature war zone every time Cameron yelled, "Reset!" 11. Bridge stunt, mixed real and effects. The Florida Keys bridge sequence ranks among the movie's grandest stunts. Cameron combined real helicopter footage, miniature models, and digital compositing to depict the Harrier missile strike that severs the highway. The Florida government cooperated, allowing certain parts of the bridge to be closed off. Locals flocked to watch from afar, snapping photos of giant explosions in the distance. The final effect is so seamless that many viewers assume the entire structure was genuinely destroyed. In reality, it was a masterful blend of real footage and visual illusions. 12. Arnold rode horse, but not all stunts. Arnold himself wanted to ride the horse in the insane chase scene through a hotel. He enjoyed horseback riding, but found that the insurance policy was strict. They let him do close-up shots, but a stunt double performed the more precarious leaps, especially the moment when the horse nearly goes off an elevator. Arnold claimed that if it were up to him, he'd do it all, but he understood the producer's caution. He still beamed with pride that he got to gallop through a hotel lobby in a major Hollywood film. 13. Arnold and Tom improvised lines. Some of the comedic interplay between Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold was only half scripted. James Cameron trusted them to riff off each other, resulting in lines like, "Yeah, I've been to this island before. It's lovely," delivered with off-the-cuff sarcasm. For Tom Arnold, this was a dream, trading jokes with Arnold Schwarzenegger in front of huge cameras in scenes that might abruptly shift from comedic bickering to huge explosions. Their banter gave the film a breezy comedic undercurrent that offset the tension of a looming terror plot. 14. Dushku learned stunts, felt protected. Eliza Dushku, playing teenage daughter Dana, found the set a mix of intense action and family warmth. Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis took a protective stance, giving her advice on lines, stunt safety, and how to manage the stress of big-budget filmmaking. She described it as having a second family who just happened to blow things up for a living. Her own stunts, though minimal, taught her the basics of wire work. That early experience shaped her confidence for roles she'd do later, like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Dollhouse. 15. Harrier scenes used real jets plus VFX. The Harrier jet finale demanded close collaboration with the U.S. Marine Corps. Real Harriers were used on location for certain ground shots, but the hovering, building-scraping sequences were partial sets combined with green screen wizardry. Cameron oversaw every detail, wanting the sense that Arnold was actually piloting a Harrier through city streets. Meanwhile, Arnold trained on a flight simulator to at least handle the cockpit scenes convincingly. The tension soared in those moments, culminating in an iconic image of Schwarzenegger manning a fighter jet in the middle of downtown chaos. 16. Cameron dangled Curtis from a helicopter. James Cameron personally directed the helicopter stunt featuring Jamie Lee Curtis. She was strapped into a harness, yes, but still found it terrifying, dangling above open space while a helicopter hovered. Cameron, known for pushing his actors physically, insisted she'd come out feeling empowered. Indeed, Curtis later said that day was a highlight of her career, half petrifying, half exhilarating. She also joked that it was the best trust exercise she'd ever done, trusting Cameron not to drop her from the sky. 17. Curtis improvised stumble in strip scene. That comedic striptease scene where Helen inadvertently performs for her husband, thinking he's a mysterious stranger, was choreographed by Jamie Lee Curtis herself. She believed Helen should look amateurish and sincere, not like a polished dancer. She even improvised her stumble mid-routine, which got a genuine reaction from Schwarzenegger. If you watch closely, you'll see him nearly break character in surprise at how far she went. Curtis's comedic instincts made that moment sweetly awkward rather than sleazy, adding a layer of humor to an otherwise sexy scene. 18. Arnold broke during funny scenes. Arnold Schwarzenegger admits that at times it was tough not to laugh during takes, especially when working with Bill Paxton or Tom Arnold. Paxton's portrayal of Simon, the cowardly creep, cracked Arnold up more than once. They had to redo lines because Arnold would grin or chuckle involuntarily. Tom Arnold's banter was equally unpredictable. He might toss out a zinger at the end of a dramatic line, catching Arnold off guard. For an action star used to stoic performances, TrueLies tested his comedic poker face. 19. Heston added gravitas as Trilby. Charlton Heston's cameo as Spencer Trilby, the stern government director with an eye patch, was a deliberate nod to old Hollywood grandeur. Cameron wanted a cameo that instantly conveyed authority and timelessness. Heston obliged, delivering lines in that trademark booming voice. On set, he jokingly referred to himself as the token cameo, but crew members found his presence thrilling. For a short role, Heston left an impression, giving the film a brush of cinematic gravitas. 20. Over 80 stunt pros worked daily. Managing stunts on a film of this scale was akin to coordinating a small army. Stephanie Austin, one of the producers, remembered scheduling 80-plus stunt performers daily. Each had a specialized role, from wire harness leaps to pyrotechnic rigging. Cameron employed what he called overscheduling, giving departments extra time to perfect details. Some crew members complained about the long hours, but Cameron believed a project with this many moving parts required a safety cushion. In the end, the approach paid off. Hardly any major accidents occurred, and the stunts dazzled on screen. 21. Missile gag used miniatures plus rigs. That comedic missile finale, where a terrorist is fired off a Harrier jet into a helicopter, was unbelievably complicated to film. Cameron used miniatures for the missile flight and a real set for the jet cockpit close-ups. The poor actor playing the terrorist was catapulted off a partial rig for the initial shot, wearing a frightened expression that was partly real. When they combined it all in post-production, it looked seamless. Audiences roared with applause at that comedic punchline, the ultimate payoff for a villain who'd threatened so many lives. 22. Curtis balanced comedy and action. Jamie Lee Curtis's comedic timing earned massive praise. She balanced the intense action of TrueLies with a housewife's confusion and eventual empowerment. The moment Helen realizes her husband is a spy reveals a surprisingly heartfelt dynamic. A wife who felt neglected finds a new spark in her marriage through guns, car chases, and espionage. Critics singled out Curtis's ability to go from comedic shrieking to steely resolve, calling it one of the film's best transformations. 23. Terror plot drew some criticism. Some U.S. theaters added disclaimers about how the film's portrayal of Middle Eastern terrorists was a comedic exaggeration, not intended to represent real cultures. TrueLies faced mild backlash, with some groups labeling it insensitive. Producer Ray Sancini acknowledged that comedic action movies sometimes oversimplify villains, but they hoped audiences would view it as pure escapism. The debate signaled the increasing awareness of how blockbusters depict foreign adversaries. 24. Cameron saw it as family action mix. Cameron labeled TrueLies as 90% action, 10% domestic comedy, believing the family angle grounded the film. Scenes like Harry trying to keep his identity secret from Helen created tension that was both comedic and dramatic. That balance made the explosive set pieces more meaningful as the characters' emotional stakes were clear. People empathized with Helen's frustration at being left in the dark, or Dana's rebellious teenage phase, all while bombs literally fell around them. 25th. Marriage drama added emotional weight. Despite the overshadowing stunts, quieter moments, like Helen's heartbreak upon discovering Harry's deception, brought emotional gravity. Cameron used these intimate scenes to break up the swirling chaos of gunfights and chases. Audiences realized the story, at its core, was about a marriage reignited by extraordinary circumstances. That nuance elevated TrueLies above a standard shoot-'em-up, giving it a rewatchable charm. 26. Made $370 million, huge summer hit. When TrueLies hit theaters, it raked in over $370 million worldwide. Schwarzenegger's star power, Cameron's track record from Terminator 2, and the mouth-watering promise of comedic espionage lured crowds. That massive haul reaffirmed Schwarzenegger's status as a top action star. Critics were mostly positive, praising the film's comedic flair, though a few found the violence or stereotypes off-putting. Nevertheless, TrueLies soared at the box office, overshadowing many other summer releases. 27. Sequel plans scrapped post-September 11th. Talks of a sequel popped up soon after. Schwarzenegger and Cameron tossed around ideas for TrueLies 2. However, after the events of September 11th, both grew wary about making an action comedy centered on terror plots. They concluded the political climate had changed, and comedic infiltration stories might not land the same way. Over the years, rumors re-emerged occasionally, but nothing materialized. The only official continuation was a short-lived TV pilot adaptation in the 2010s, which never fully took off. 28. Inspired future spy comedies. Many credit TrueLies with proving that comedic espionage flicks could thrive in the mainstream. Later films like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or comedic spy shows like Chuck possibly took cues from Cameron's success. The formula of mixing bantering couples, high-octane action, and comedic set pieces clearly worked for broad audiences. It showed Hollywood that an action hero can be just as compelling when stumbling through comedic misadventures as when blowing up bridges. 29. Romance gave it heart. Even with the comedic approach, the film had a distinct romance element. Harry and Helen's complicated love story, rekindled by secret missions and near-death escapes, struck a chord. The unusual premise of a bored housewife turned accidental spy partner gave the story heart. Many fans consider TrueLies a perfect date movie. It offers both explosive thrills for action fans and comedic relationship drama for those who love a dash of romance. Rarely do you find a film that can please such diverse tastes so seamlessly. TrueLies remains beloved by fans who enjoy a hearty blend of 90s-era stunts, comedic banter, and family drama. The image of Schwarzenegger in a tux, carrying a machine gun, or Jamie Lee Curtis slipping on a black dress for a flustered striptease scene, or Tom Arnold rattling off zingers, continues to resonate. It reminds us that sometimes the best action heroes are also a little ridiculous. James Cameron set out to prove an action movie could be bigger than life while still keeping us laughing, and he succeeded. TrueLies stands as a testament to the power of mixing jaw-dropping spectacle with everyday domestic strife. After all, who says you can't rescue your marriage and the free world at the same time?